Thanks for joining us for the September 2020 survey results from the Purdue University CME Group Ag Economy Barometer. I'm Jim Mintert, Director of the Purdue Center for Commercial Agriculture, and I'm going to share the results of this month's survey with you. The Ag Economy Barometer this month rose to a reading of 156. That's up 12 points from a month earlier when it was just at 144, and up 60 points from April when the reading was just 96. Both the index of future expectations and index of current conditions rose during September relative to August, but the biggest increase was really in the index of current conditions, which rose to a reading of 142 versus 124 a month earlier. Farmers became more confident about current conditions, partly because of the rally in commodity prices that took place, as well as USDA's announcement of the second round of CFAP payments in 2020. The Farm Capital Investment Index rose as well, rose to a reading of 73, up from 65 a month earlier, and all the way up from 38 back in April. And that actually gives us the highest reading for the Farm Capital Investment Index of calendar year 2020. Consistent with that improvement in the Farm Capital Investment Index, farmers are more optimistic about their ability and willingness to make farm machinery purchases in 2020 than they were earlier in the year. Back in April, just 29% of the farmers intended to purchase about the same amount of farm machinery as they had a year earlier. In the September survey, that had risen all the way to 49%, a pretty significant improvement since spring. Farmers are more optimistic about farmland values, especially in the short run. This month's survey, 12% of the farmers said that they expected to see lower farmland values. That's a dramatic change compared to last April, when 35% of the farmers in our survey said they expected to see lower farmland values in the upcoming year. Farmers were a little less optimistic about ag exports in the September survey than they were in August, with a reading of 58% saying they expected to see ag exports increase over the next 5 years. That's down somewhat from early in the year. Early in the year, we had actually 72% of the farmers in our survey were optimistic about growth in ag exports. We followed that up with a question that focused more specifically on China, asking farmers whether or not they expect to see China fulfill the Phase 1 trade agreement they signed with the U.S. earlier this year. Farmers were split on this question. 53% said it was unlikely that China would fulfill the agreement, and 47% said that it was likely. In light of the fact that so many conferences and meetings have switched to a virtual format this year, we've been asking farmers about their experience in terms of attending those programs. 22% of the producers in our survey this month said they attended a virtual field day or conference. When we asked them what they liked about those programs, the top two choices were flexible timing of viewing and attending the presentations, and the ability to choose topics of interest. When we asked them what they didn't like about those programs, they said the lack of interaction with others that were attending the meeting was a problem, as well as poor broadband connections on their farm location, making it hard to watch the programs. There's been a lot of interest about cover crop usage, and so we asked corn and soybean farmers on our survey this month whether or not they had either planted or intend to plant cover crops in 2020. 39% of the farms in our survey said they were going to plant cover crops in 2020. We followed that up to learn a little bit more about how much of their acreage they plan to plant, and over half of those farms said that they would put less than 1/3 of their acreage in cover crops in 2020. That wraps up our discussion for this month's Ag Economy Barometer survey. We have our Crop Outlook webinar coming up this Friday, October 9th at 3:30 p.m., and more details on that are available at purdue.edu Commercial Ag. And of course, you can always download the full, complete report of the Ag Economy Barometer at purdue.edu/agbarometer. On behalf of the Center for Commercial Agriculture, I'm Jim Mintert. Thanks for joining us.